Hey everyone, blessings. I hope that you're all doing well. In this video, we're going to be discussing emotional manipulation by family. Before we get into our topic, subscribe to this channel. Also, hit the like button. It really does help me out. And share this video if you enjoy what I'm doing over here. And feel free to drop me a comment. I would like to hear from you, and I appreciate your support of this channel. So let's get into this heavy topic of emotional manipulation by family. Manipulation in general, or being manipulated, period, is a terrible thing. And it's even more hurtful when you're dealing with a manipulator within your own family. And unfortunately, this happens. And some of us do experience this. And no family is perfect, but there are individuals in our family units that are toxic and dysfunctional, and we're going to talk about it. So in this video, I'm going to discuss 4 different tactics and ways that the manipulation might show up in the family dynamic and the family unit, right? And how the manipulator within the family, how they operate. So these 4 things, I call it the 4 greatest hits. Pun intended, because these are the things that will hit us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and even physically. Because dealing with a toxic and dysfunctional person, especially in the family, can literally make us sick. So we're going to talk about that. And also, I am going to provide some ways and some strategies at the end of how to protect yourself against the manipulator within family. So let's get into it. So one of the ways of how the manipulator might operate and how it may present in the family unit. And I mean, there's different ways, there's many ways to manipulate, but the things that I have seen over and over again is, number 1, they will question your devotion to them and devotion to the family unit. So it might look like this. They may say, well, if you love me, whoever they are to you within the family, and if you love the family, you would do the things that I want you to do, wherever they are, A, B, C, and D, right? If you cared about me, if you loved me, if you loved the family, if you cared about me, and you cared about the family, you would do what I want you to do. One thing you need to understand about manipulators in general, either inside or outside of the family, is that it's a game of control. They want to control you, and they want to control the circumstances and everyone around them. Everybody's just a player in their game, and they feel like they're the masters and they're the puppeteers and they're the ones who are moving the pieces around the chessboard, right? You know, that's how they operate. So they're going to question your devotion to the family. They're going to question your love. They're going to question how dedicated you are to everyone. And they're going to bring that up and try to guilt and shame you and bring shame to you because they want you to do something, whatever it is that they want you to do. So they'll question your love, and they'll question your feelings and the level and the measure of love that you have for everyone. Because they can't have their way, or they want to have their way. So that's how it might look, show up within the family unit and family dynamic. So these are things that I have seen. So questioning your devotion. Number 2, they will humiliate you into submission. Family, they have all the intel on us. Some of these people have changed our Pampers or diapers, right? They have seen us grow up from children to adulthood, most of them, right? They have known us all of our lives. They know us best, especially if you grew up with your biological family and, your family unit, your family of origin, right? For some of us, it's biological, for some of us, maybe not. But these are the people who we call family. They know us the best, most of the time, right? So they know how to push our buttons. They know what our sensitivities are. They know the things that are going to really set us off, right? More so than anybody else, because they've seen us in so many different situations, right? And they've seen us sort of like grow up and evolve. So they know us best. And when you're dealing with a manipulative family member, they will use that against you. and they will use that as a weapon, right? That intel, that knowledge about you, and they will use their ability to push that button, whatever that button is within you, in order to get you to submit. And usually by them messing with your triggers, whatever your triggers are, is going to be something that's going to embarrass you or humiliate you or drive you to a lot of anger and maybe even rage, right? And it's also very, very hurtful when it's coming from your own flesh and blood, when it's coming from your own people, right? The people who are supposed to love you and care for you, right? So it's very hurtful when it comes from your own family, but that's what the manipulator will do in the family unit. They will humiliate you into submission. So if, for example, if a person has a sensitivity about their weight, they're going to bring that up, especially if in a big family gathering, and they'll push that button because maybe they don't want you to feel good about yourself, right? Maybe they want to bring you down a peg or two. Maybe you've accomplished some things that they haven't accomplished, and they're jealous or whatever it is, right? And maybe they just want to get under your skin because some people are just mean that way, right? So they know what that button is, right? So they are humiliating you into submission in order to get you to feel a particular way. So it might not necessarily be because they want something out of you or want you to do something, but they want you to feel a certain way or feel less than what you are. So whatever that trigger is for you, they might bring up something in your past and in front of a bunch of people at a family gathering, right? And embarrass you that way, or say you said something that you didn't say, like just outright lie. We're going to talk about lying a little bit later on. So humiliate you into submission in order to bring your mood down and make you doubt yourself, or see, this is a serious emotional game that some of them play, or to get you to do something, right? So yeah, this is a serious emotional game. The humiliation by, humiliating you into submission, and it happens, and I've seen it happen within the family unit. So that's the second way that they'll do. The third thing I want to talk about is we're going to talk about lying. So this is a universal thing with the manipulator in general, right? Whether they're inside or outside of the family, right? They're going to withhold information, and they are going to lie. They have to lie in order to basically get you to comply, in order to get you to do what they want you to do, in order to orchestrate whatever it is they want to orchestrate. So the lying is a very important tactic for them in order to basically get people to bend to their will. Unwillingly, right? Because if they're not giving you the full story, or they're giving you pieces of the truth but not the full truth, right? So if they're withholding information, if they're lying, which is a form of lying, that means that they get to once again control the situation, control you. They may be able to get you to do things that you wouldn't otherwise do if you had all of the information, right? And if you knew the full story, right? So, they'll make things up about other family members and, get into things. So they'll withhold information in order to get money out of you, in order to get to stay in your home or whatever it is, right? So they won't tell you the full situation, yeah, so they'll lie on others. They will withhold information in order to make themselves look good, in order to get you to put yourself in a situation that you might not otherwise put yourself in. So the lying is a very the very thing that they will use in order to get you to comply. So the lying is very important to them. So just know that that's another thing that they'll do. Lastly, this might be one of the worst ones, right? I think in my opinion, this is the worst one. Taking action on your behalf without your permission or consent. We're dealing with family here, and this is a sensitive topic. Once again, I'm going to reiterate, these are the people who know us, or should know us the best, for most of us, right? Some of you out there might not know your family that well, especially your biological family, but for most of us, these are people who know us the best. right? And sometimes that comes with an entitlement, right? I am entitled to do certain things on your behalf because you're my daughter, or you're my son, or you're my cousin, or my sister, or my brother, or you're my granddaughter, or you're my grandson. So especially if these are family members who have seniority, right? These older than you, right? Whether it be or seniority within the family, these are the elders in the family, or maybe they are siblings who are older, so there's an entitlement there where they think because whatever their relationship is to you, that they have a right to speak for you and to do things on your behalf without even consulting you. So this is a situation where we're all adults, right? So basically, give an example, saying that you'll agree to something without talking to you first. These are things that I've seen over and over again. Saying that you, let's say, volunteer labor, that you'll help with a gathering, or maybe pick some people up, or maybe donate some money, right? And speaking of money, some of the worst things that I've seen has been financial abuse within the family, like people opening up credit cards in their children's names, and by the time the kids get older, their credit is all messed up, right? And these are things that I have seen, so doing things without your permission or consent, speaking for you, moving on your behalf. I've seen horrible things, literal crimes take place where, signatures were forged, and all kinds of illegal activities. I've seen it go that far. But when they feel entitled to do that, like your consent or permission doesn't matter, like they could do things for you, speak for you as an adult. It's a little different when we're children and when we're minors, but as an adult, it's really wrong. And so that's another form of control, form of manipulation. You'll find out that all these things were done behind your back, and you didn't even know that it was done, unfortunately. So yeah, these are some of the things, and there's more. I mean, I'm sure some of you out there have your own stories, horror stories of dealing with certain dysfunctional family members, and I'm sorry for that. But one great thing about social media, especially YouTube and this platform, is that a lot of people are able to share their stories and knowledge, and we're able to help one another. For all of the toxic things that are out there, there's a lot of good things that come from this platform as well. So I'm hoping that I'm adding to the good things on this platform. So those are the four things, the four greatest hits that I wanted to share. So how do we protect ourselves from the family member that is a manipulator, right? Because I know this can go a bit deeper, but I want to keep this video kind of short. One thing you need to know, and I talk about this a lot on my channel, is boundaries. You need to have boundaries with your own family. And some of us out there, we're afraid to draw the line and afraid to set boundaries with particular family members out of fear and thinking that, it'll have a negative impact on your relationship. Well, listen, if you have a family member, someone who's actually supposed to be looking out for you because they're family, and they're playing games like that, they don't think much about you anyway. Right? So just keep that in mind. If you're doing that to your own family, there's something really, really wrong with you, right? So just know that you have a right. You have a right to set boundaries with your family, right? So you have to set boundaries, and think about, when it comes to your own family, what are your non-negotiables? You have to think about this stuff. What do you consider unreasonable? Because you have certain family members that will ask for the sun, the stars, and the moon from you, right? And they will keep asking without limits, some people, right? And they think that you should do it because you are their daughter, you are their son, you are whoever, you're the mother, you're the father, whoever, right? So, once again, you have certain family members that feel very, very entitled to your time, energy, and resources because they're family, right? So it's up to us to think about the boundaries that we're going to set within our own family units. And these boundaries are not just with money and things like that, or resources and things like that, but boundaries with behavior. Like, what are you going to tolerate from certain family members behavior wise? So draw the line, set the boundaries, think about for you what's reasonable and unreasonable, what you're willing to put up with or tolerate, because families will really push those, like I said earlier, push those buttons and not care, right? Because they feel like in family they do get away, especially the toxic ones, they get away with a lot, right? And then you have other people within the family who kind of like enable them to continue to be toxic and really throw bombs at the family and keep up a lot of chaos and just dissension and problems within the family. So unfortunately, some manipulators are enabled by other family members, but it's up to you. It's up to us, and you have a right to set a boundary even with your family. So think about that. Think about what you'll tolerate and what you won't tolerate. And it's okay to say no, especially if it's something that's hurting you, right? It's okay to stay away from certain family members, especially if they're not healthy or safe, right? So that's one thing, boundaries. Number two, protecting yourself. You have to be okay. Because when you set those boundaries and when you start to tell people no, or what you are willing, and you make it clear what you're not going to tolerate, they are going to be mad. They're going to be big mad. And especially the manipulator, they're not going to like it, especially if it's a manipulator, if it's a narcissist. They are not going to like you saying no. They hate boundaries. They hate it. But you have to be okay with them not being okay with you. And that's one of the ways that you protect yourself, because if you are going to take all of that in and internalize all of that stuff and trying to people please everyone in your family, everyone's not going to be happy with you when you set those boundaries and you try to, because the boundary is there because you're protecting yourself, because someone is engaging in activities that's not safe, that's harmful to you. So the boundary is there to protect you. And so you can be the healthy one within that family unit. So they can be mad all they want. They could be, listen, I have told certain family members no about certain things that I felt was unreasonable, and I was within my rights to say no. I mean, there's certain things that you may have to do depending on which family member you're supporting that you might not want to do, or you may have to go the extra mile or really sacrifice for certain family members. But if it's not unreasonable, yeah, you should do it because it's your family, right? And if you love them, you'll look out for them and you do what you need to do as family. But the things that are just out of pocket, the things that are just unreasonable, you have a right to say no. The things that will put you in a situation that's not good for you, because you have certain family members that don't care. They don't care. But you have to be okay with being disliked or even being talked about. It doesn't feel good. It's terrible. I've been there, done that. And you know what? Yeah, I had to just build a bridge and get over it, right? Get over the fact that, certain people weren't pleased when I put those boundaries down. But if you're going to set a boundary, you have to be willing to be okay with other people's anger and dislike for you having that boundary there in the first place, because you're telling them, you're pumping the brakes on the manipulation, right? You're blocking it. So you're blocking the game. They can't move you around like a pawn and play you, right? Like a fiddle, right? Like you're putting a stop to that. So you're cramping their style. So they're not going to like that. So just know that you're going to have to be okay with that in order to protect yourself. Because if you fold and if you cave in, if you do what they want you to do, and if you say, oh, they're upset with me, and maybe I should remove this boundary and let them do what they want to do, and then you're back to square one, right? And lastly, you really have to care more about your well-being than what people think within the family. Because people are going to think what they want to think. And this is inside or outside of your family. The people in general are going to think what they want to think about you. And I know within certain family units, there's a lot of mess, maybe even a lot of gossip going on. But you need to look out for your own well-being, right? Especially when it comes to dealing with manipulators, right? Because they have no limits when it comes to them getting what they want and hurting as many people as possible, right? And especially if they're operating that way with their own family, that's a certain type of depraved person who would do that, right? Play those sort of games with their own flesh and blood, and people who should mean the most to them, right? So yeah, but you have to look out for yourself and for your own well-being, because actually you looking out for you will help you to show up better within your own family, right? And help you to be the one who is productive and healthy and making a contribution to your family in general. But if you're not looking out for your own well-being, if you're getting caught up in the drama within the family and you're overly concerned about what people think, yeah, it's gonna really bring you down. But you got to think more, if that looks like you putting distance between you and certain family members, you got to go ahead and do that. If you're married, if it means, separating or even getting a divorce, if it goes that far, I'm not particularly advocating for divorce, but if you're dealing with a manipulator, if you're married to one, yeah, that's not going to work in the long term, Once again, I said it's all about control and domination. If this person is your spouse and they're called to love you, you should be loving each other. There is no domination in love. So someone's trying to control and dominate you, they don't love you. They don't. I promise you they don't. They may love some things about you, but they don't love you, right? So there is no domination in love, right? So, that's why we have to look out for our own well-being, right? And not be so focused on, what people think, and because people want to talk about you and the family anyway, right? So, but continue to do the best that you can do, and watch out for those manipulators within the family. Stay prayed up, stay positive. You be the beacon of light within your family. You be the good example in your family. We're always going to have to deal with somebody who's dysfunctional, who has issues, right? You can love them, and especially if they're family, yes, love them, but love them from a distance if they're not safe, right? Some people you just don't need to deal with at all. I mean, there's certain family members I don't deal with at all because they're not safe people, right? But then, there's family who, they have issues. They're not perfect. I'm not perfect, right? But, I still, deal with them, but I deal with them at arm's length or in a certain way. Once again, with the boundary to keep myself safe, and it doesn't mean that you love them any less. I think having the boundary and protecting yourself is the most loving thing that you could do for yourself and for your family, right? So, because you're keeping everyone safe. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to share in this video. I hope that has been helpful. Let me know if you want me to do more topics along this line. I'll be willing to do that. I've been talking a bit about spirituality. I can go back to that, but just let me know what you think. Take care, God bless, and I will see you in the next one.